Good day, mates. Welcome back to Unpopular Aussie Opinions, where we charge headlong into the thorny underbelly of our beloved rugby league that leaves most commentators ducking for cover. I'm your host, and today, we are dissecting a saga that's turned the NRL into a battlefield of broken trust and brutal backlash. Lachlan Galvin, the 19-year-old prodigy of the West Tigers, whose 2025 contract drama detonated into a full-blown bullying scandal. His management fired off a legal letter accusing the club of mistreatment and fostering an unsafe workplace, spotlighting the raw wounds of youth player welfare in a league that chews up kids faster than a Leichhardt pie. Fans and media unleashed hell on the Tigers' handling, with whispers of a forced exit nearly torpedoing the young guns' trajectory. But here's my unpopular take. Galvin's no innocent lamb led to slaughter. This is a cautionary tale of precocious talent clashing with club loyalty, where the Tigers' heavy-handed response exposed a toxic culture, but Galvin's camp's aggressive posturing lit the fuse on a fire that could have been doused with dialogue instead of dockets. It's a mess that screams for reform in how we nurture our next generation, lest we lose more bright sparks to the bitterness. Settle in, because we are peeling back the layers on this powder keg, and it's bound to stir the pot. Let's rewind to the spark that ignited the inferno. It's early April 2025, and the West Tigers are finally flickering with hope under coach Benji Marshall. Their prodigal son returned to resurrect a club that's been wandering the wilderness for 14 long seasons. Lachlan Galvin bursts onto the scene like a storm from the west, 19 years old, 5'8" with the vision of a seasoned general, carving up defences with sidesteps that leave blokes grasping at shadows. He's the jewel in the Tigers' crown, graded from their pathway system, repping NSW under-19s, and already turning heads with his debut season stats, try assists stacking up, meters gained like clockwork. The club sees a cornerstone, a half to pair with Jarome Luai for the next decade, and they come calling with a monster offer, $6 million over 5 years, locking him until 2030. It's the sort of deal that'd make most blokes' eyes water, a vote of confidence in a kid who's barely old enough to rent a car. But Galvin's management, Cove agencies Isaac Moses and Adam Brame, knock it back flat. Not for more cash, mind you, but because the teen sensation harbours doubts about Marshall's coaching chops. Sources whisper he reckons he could flourish under different hand, maybe at a club with finals pedigree rather than the Tigers' rebuild roulette. Fair call or faithless? That's where the cracks start spiderwebbing. The Tigers don't take kindly to the rejection. They issue a press release, public as a grand final siren, announcing Galvin's decision to test the market from November 2025, effectively painting him as the villain in their revival narrative. It's a gut punch to a fanbase starved for silver linings, and the locker room erupts. Captain Jarome Luai, the high-profile import meant to mentor Galvin, drops an Instagram story, a cryptic shot emblazoned with Team First, a not-so-subtle jab at the kid's perceived disloyalty. Winger Sunia Taruva piles on, posting footage of Galvin's empty locker synced to lyrics crooning, "Here comes the money," implying greed over grit. Forward Fonua Pole likes fan posts savaging the teen, and co-captain API Coruscant joins Luai in lobbying Marshall to drop him from a lineup. It's a social media stoush that spirals into a public flogging, with Tiger supporters flooding Galvin's mentions with vitriol, death threats, slurs, the works. The club scrambles to shut down comments on their own pages, but the damage is done. Galvin's axed a reserve grade for the Easter Monday clash against Parramatta, named for the West's Magpies at Lidcombe Oval while his NRL teammates battle the Eels at Combank Stadium. Security shadows him like a Secret Service detail, a media gag order silences his voice, and the kid's playing in front of a sparse crowd instead of a sold-out sea of black, white, and orange. It's humiliation wrapped in a halftime orange slice. Enter the legal thunderclap. Days later, on April 20th, Galvin's camp serves the Tigers a formal letter alleging bullying and a breach of safe work environment, straight out of the Fair Work Act playbook, claiming the social media sledging and demotion created a hostile space unfit for a teenager. The Rugby League Players Association loops in, chatting with Galvin, his handlers, and senior Tigers to defuse the bomb. Marshall fronts the media, denying any bullying culture. Emotional responses to things happening might seem like it, but there's been no sense of bullying at our club, and we do not stand for it. He guarantees the reactions were one-offs, not orchestrated malice, but the optics are rotten. League legend Greg Alexander blasts it on Sen Radio. It is borderline bullying to have players having a crack on social media. Broncos coach Kevin Walters doesn't hold back on his podcast. Bullying, 100%. How would you feel if you were Benji Marshall and the West's Tigers management? The saga dominates headlines, from the Sydney Morning Herald's deep dives to the Daily Telegraph's daily dispatches, with pundits decrying the Tigers' pettiness. Phil Gould, the Bulldogs' outspoken GM, piles on, calling Galvin's situation untenable and hinting at Belmore's interest. Tampering whispers be damned. Fans are feral. Let's not gloss over Galvin's side of the ledger, justice for Galvin trending, where the unpopular rubs raw as the playground bully. At 19, and Tigers' sensation split between defending their stars and demanding an apology. With a try against the Warriors. It's a perfect storm, bossing the halves like a veteran. How youth welfare in the NRL often takes a backseat. That's not just ambition and optics. It's arrogance bordering on naivety. The Tigers graded him, blooded him, built their future around him, and he repays that faith by eyeing the exit before the ink's dry on his current deal, which runs till end of 2026. His camp's reasoning, that Marshall's not the coach to unlock his potential, stings like a late tackle. Benji's a club icon, the bloke who dragged them from the doldrums in his playing days, now entrusted with the rebuild. Doubting him publicly, even indirectly, invites the backlash. And the legal letter? It's a sledgehammer where a conversation might have sufficed. Cove Agency's heavy artillery escalates a family feud into federal court fodder, painting the Tigers as villains while Galvin plays the victim card. Sure, the social media pylon was ugly. Luai and Taruva should have known better, with their profiles amplifying the hurt, but it's the hypersensitivity of youth meeting the hard edges of a contact sport. Rugby league's always been a brotherhood forged in fire. Dissent gets aired, sometimes messily. Galvin's saga underscores a deeper rot. Kids rushed into multi-million-dollar spotlights without the maturity to navigate the noise. The NRL's pathways are goldmines, but without robust mental health scaffolds, mandatory counselling, peer mediation, social media protocols, these blow-ups become the norm. As May rolls in, the pressure cooker hisses louder. The Tigers dig in, CEO Shane Richardson vowing no early release. Lachlan will see out his current contract. We have no intentions of letting him go before then. But the board convenes, whispers of a transfer fee circulate, $165,000 to sweeten the deal, and Galvin's permitted to negotiate with rivals. The Eels, eyeing a Dylan Brown void, table $750,000 a year. The Bulldogs, with Gould's megaphone, match it. Parramatta coach Jason Riles admits, Lorchie's an exceptional talent. When the time is right, we'll speak to him. But it's Belmore that snares him. On May 30th, after weeks of wrangling, the Tigers grant an immediate mutual release, dropping the bullying suit as part of the pact. Galvin inks a long-term Bulldogs deal, effective straight away, but not before the NRL probes footage of him at Belmore's training pads pre-release, tampering or eager beaver. Gould fronts the fanfare. We've got our man, brushing off critics who accuse him of market meddling with his public pleas for Galvin to bolt. In a tell-all on 100% Footy, Galvin opens up. I understand the Tigers fans' frustration. They can have their hatred, and I get it. He denies a Luai feud, no bad blood there, and skirts the bullying claims under a gag clause, but admits he never met Gould till signing day. Marshall's message? It's just footy. There's more to life. We've got to look after each other. Too little, too late, for a kid whose origin dreams got derailed by the drama. Zoom out, and this isn't just a Tigers tragedy, it's a league-wide lament. Billy Slater weighs in. It could derail their season, and he's spot on. The Tigers slump to 12th, their early promise punctured. The saga exposes the NRL's archaic contract quirks, deals that bind till 2026 but allow November whispers, ripe for manipulation and misery. Galvin's exit costs him a shot at early blues, but saves him from a toxic tenure. Fans fired up because it's personal. The Tigers faithful, battered by wooden spoons, saw Galvin as their saviour, only for him to ghost. Media mayhem because it's juicy, bullying barbs, legal lobs, Gould's grandstanding. But the real victims? The young guns navigating this gauntlet without guardrails. Welfare issues scream for action. Independent advocates for juniors, bans on intra-club social sniping, transparency in negotiations. Imagine if clubs prioritise development over dollars, pathways with psych support, coaching audits for buy-in. Galvin could have thrived at Concord with better bridges, not burned ones. Mates, unpopular opinions thrive on the uncomfortable. Galvin's bold but brittle, the Tigers tough but tone-deaf, and the NRL's negligent in nurturing its nursery. He's off to Belmore with baggage lighter, but the scars linger, a reminder that talent alone doesn't tame the Tiger. Under Cameron Ciraldo, he could captain the Dogs to glory. At the Tigers, resentment might have festered. Either way, demand better, for the kids, the clubs, the code. If this mess teaches us anything, it's that loyalty's a two-way street, and bullying's the blind alley we can't afford. What's your verdict, legends? Tigers hard done by, or Galvin's gamble genius? Flood the comments, Smash like if you're raging, subscribe for more unfiltered fire, and hit the bell to join the fray. Until next time, keep it candid, keep it courageous. In rugby league, the game's tough, but the treatment? It should never break the bloke.